Hello, everyone. How is everyone today on day number whatever this is of the COVID crisis? My name is Stefan Kaplan, and I am a social media and visual strategist. And welcome to the Spin It Social Hour. I created this Spin It Social Hour. It is a labor of love born out of care and concern, everyone. I am here to share the work of great photographers from around the world, so many working photographers who have been hit so hard by this crisis, by this pandemic and the economic crisis that is a result of that. And I am here to share their work with you, help them, let them share their journey with you, their all their stories, so you get to know them better. So that when this crisis subsides and hopefully goes away, um, we know that it's going to take a vaccine to do that, and there's still going to be some issues. But we hope that they will be able to get back on track with the many things they've been working on. For as we know, many photographers out there are freelance. There are a lot of staff photographers as well, and many have their own businesses. You know, when you're freelance, there's so many things involved, and that is your livelihood. So therefore, I wanted to bring them on so that we could set them up better for the future, that when this crisis is gone or alleviates, you will know them better, companies will know them better, everybody will know them better, so that they can get more work and they can get back on track. So today, well, I'm sorry, apologies. My brand is Spin It Social, and I created my brand about 10 years ago when I started working with AARP. I've worked with AARP and their Life Reimagined program. I've also worked with the Pulitzer Prizes. I just finished working with them this year. We covered the Pulitzer Prizes, and congratulations to all our incredibly hardworking journalists out there and writers, authors, everybody out there who won the Pulitzer this year. Congratulations, a heartfelt congratulations. Keep up the great work. So anyway, I also work with the DigiMentors group, Sri Srinivasan and the DigiMentors group. We do many things, including working with Princeton University and many other organizations. And I wanted to give a special shout out to Emilio Pardo of A Life Reimagined, a branding expert and communications expert who has been a guiding light for me in many ways. So thank you, Emilio, for sponsoring this show. I really appreciate it. And so I am now going to tell you about this week's guest. So this week's guest is none other than Sally Ryan out of Los Angeles. Sally is a wonderful documentary photographer who does a lot of lifestyle work as well. And to introduce you to her, I'm going to give her the buildup that she deserves with a wonderful slideshow that I put together of her work. So here you go. Enjoy this. All right. How about that? I hope Sally agrees with my editing after years of, by the way, how could I possibly not say this? After years of being a photo editor at the New York Times, 15 plus years, that little thing that I did for that many years, and also being the supervising photo editor of the Wire service, which is how I've come to know so many great photographers such as Sally. So with no further ado, I bring on the great Sally Ryan. Hello, Sally. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Is that a good enough build up?
I'm blushing. That was so nice. Yeah, thank you. Yes, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good,
Still,
good. I'm glad.
here, still talking to you, so that's lovely.
Okay, well, it's wonderful to have you on the Spin It Social Hour, and I've known about your work for a long time, and coming from the background that I did at the Times and everywhere, and you've been published everywhere, and I was like, you know what, I have to get Sally on the show. And I feel blessed and thankful to have you here. So with no further ado, once again, why don't you tell everybody about yourself, Sally?
Uh, okay.
Tell us the story, Sally.
In a nutshell, let's see. Native Texan. I always have to lead with that, but I haven't lived in Texas since I was 18, and that was quite a few years ago. I lived in Chicago for 20 years, and most of my career was there. I've been in LA for not quite a year, so it feels weird to say, "Oh, I'm an LA-based photographer." But it's great. Like the weather is amazing. I don't miss winter. I will say,
Has the smog gone away a lot out
oh,
there with
completely.
COVID-19?
It's so beautiful. I mean, you can see so far, and yeah, the air is like the air quality index rating is good every day.
Okay. Okay. So tell us about your journey, Sally. Tell us about your journey. I know that some of the facts I'm putting up here, that you hold a degree in journalism from the University of Missouri. Tell
Yeah.
us more.
Well, so I got into photography when I was in high school. I needed to have an art credit, and I was lucky that my high school did jewelry making, painting, sculpting, photography. My dad said, "Hey, I've got an old Minolta, a bunch of lenses," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do photography." Um, Turns out I really liked it, and my high school also had two photography classes. So the first one was like 50 kids, the blow off class, nobody pays attention, everybody passes. Um, so I stuck it out and did the second one where it was like 12 of us, and we're actually into this. And it really it helped me realize how much I wanted to connect with people. And I think it really helped me come out of my shell. I was incredibly shy growing up.
Okay.
So it sort of was I had a legitimate reason now to talk to people with a camera, or so yeah. And then I remember getting, like, you're in high school and you get all those flyers in the mail for come to our university, and I'd never heard of the University of Missouri, had no idea that they had a great journalism school, and I get this thing and I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. So I went and visited and checked it out, and I was like, this is where I have to go. And then, went to school, did my internships, started out in Chicago, and in a nutshell, yeah.
Well, that's wonderful, because that's one of the things when it just falls into your lap and you start doing it. I mean, I remember when my very good friend, Ronaldo Robinson, who I'm going to have on the show one day, put my very first camera in my hands. And it was a Nikon EM with a motor drive. And the funny thing, it was the motor drive that got me going.
Right. You were all excited.
Really fast, man.
Totally.
So, that was cool and everything. By the way, everyone, please, the cardinal rule of social media when you're doing anything is asking people, I'm only going to say this once because I now have a banner for it. I'm not going to hit everybody over the head with it constantly, but please share this broadcast so your friends and family and network can know about Sally's work and know about the Spin It Social Hour with all the other photographers that past and past and present and future. So this way that they can be better known, and that when this crisis alleviates and it goes away, hopefully that they'll have more work, because we've all been affected by this COVID crisis. So, Sally, so one of the things also, you've been published everywhere. I mean, let's read off the list here, Sally. Let's give you your credits.
Okay.
Go ahead, tell us. The New York Times, who else?
You want me to read it?
Go ahead, Sally, go ahead.
The Wall Street Journal, Spin, ProPublica, Saveur, Time, Chicago Magazine, NBC.com, Cranes in Chicago, London Times, Dallas Morning News,
and more. It just goes on and on and on. But you know what? I decided when I put that up there every week, I'm going to let the photographer read it. It's not about me.
I like that.
It's about you guys. It's about you guys, and that's why I'm here. So I support my photo community. I always have so much admiration and love for them. And this was something, like I said, when this COVID crisis hit, I said to myself, what am I going to do to help? And also I wanted to immerse myself in multimedia and live streaming. So I jumped in, grabbed the bull by the horns, and here we are. So I thank you so much for being here once again. So Sally, by the way, has been honored with many awards nationally and internationally for her photography, including the 2018 nonprofit category of the World Report. She is all over social media on Twitter and Instagram at Sally Ryan Photo. Her banner is underneath there. Well, I mean, her handles are underneath there with on the banner, the ticker. Love of my ticker. Love StreamYard for this platform to be able to do this. And then we'll also throw up Sally's website, which we want you to know a lot about, SallyRyanPhoto.com. She's great. I love, you got in this early, right?
I did. Well,
you have your Twitter, Instagram, and website. Everything's the same name.
Well, and I'll tell you what. So when I tried to get a website, like my domain 20 years ago, or when maybe not quite, but ish, right? There was already, Sally Ryan was already taken. And it's this woman in Indiana who does her own clothing. And
Okay.
I was like, come on, so I just threw on the photo. Fine, it makes sense. And then it's just like, well, let me just, now that I have it, I just have to do everything that way. So
I think that's great because it's really hard and it's not everybody's fault.
no,
If you
love
miss the train a bit,
Oh,
if you miss the train a bit, and you didn't get your handles early, you have 01s, you have underscores, you have this, yeah. But you know what? You move on, you deal with it.
Exactly.
And that's it.
Please don't think I had all this foresight. It was luck. Yes.
So let's get to some comments here real quick because I see, I'm hoping that the comments, yep, they're working. Facebook has them working again. So let's see here. Jonathan Borstein from the West Village is going to be my assistant very soon. I'm bringing Jonathan into helping me out with comments and other things. He's a wonderful, wonderful writer, journalist, other things, and the Mad Hatter, as I call him. He's got a million hats, and he's a wonderful gentleman, great friend, great supporter. Linda says hello. Twyla says hello, and Chase, her dog, is with us. Peter DeSilva from the West Coast is watching. Cheers.
What?
Janet, Elizabeth Taylor, Dr. Janet. Hey, Janet from Florida. Janet is one of the people I worked with at Life Reimagined. She's a wonderful psychologist and therapist who works with people in many different capacities and does so much good in the world. Love you, Janet. Jay Colin, 8 a.m. in LA. Yeah, Sally woke up early for us. Jay knows it.
It's all good.
What kind of lighting are you using, Twyla? Asks Sally.
Ooh, that would be a giant window in front of me.
Okay. And then Julia Weeks with the AP of JP Images says hello from Brooklyn. Thank you, Julia, for joining us. Wonderful. And congratulations, by the way, to the AP for their Pulitzer this week.
Yeah.
I will get into that a little later with a special little moment about that. But congratulations to AP and Reuters and their team of photographers. I'll read off the names later. And then Neil Parek's mom, Sudha, is here. Thank you, Miss Parek. You're such a great supporter. And Jay says, love Stefan's spirit. Thank you so much. But this is about Sally. I appreciate it, Jay. And is this also on LinkedIn and others? It's on Twitter. I'm going to be going to LinkedIn as soon as I get LinkedIn Live permission. But let's get back to Sally now.
Can I say one quick shout out to Laura in Italy?
What's that?
I want to say a quick shout out hi to Laura in Italy.
Okay. Lauren, go ahead.
Hi, miss you, love you. You're awesome. I'll talk to you soon.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, Sally, let's get started here and ask you the questions that everybody wants to know. How did you get started in photography and years later end up teaching, as I read about you?
Yeah.
I did all my research, not only stateside, but also abroad. Tell us.
Sure. Well, so, I mean, I kind of fell into teaching at Northwestern. I had some friends who were, who are still working there. And let me give a shout out to Craig Duff, Zach Wise, Brent Huffman. Not Brent Huffman. I spaced on his last name. No, I'm right. Anyway, sorry, it's early.
Okay. It's 8 a.m.
Wonderful friends at Northwestern. And my wonderful friend Emily Withrow, who worked there and got me hooked up there. And I started I was an adjunct and I did photojournalism and sort of introductory and advanced photojournalism and a lot of multimedia classes. So sort of a lot of introductory classes with undergraduates. And I'd say I split half my time between undergrads and grads, which was lovely. I really liked working with both groups of people. It's really different. their experiences, their concerns are really different. So it was always sort of a fun challenge to help them navigate the world of journalism. And how do I, the question was, how do I do what you're doing? I would get that question a lot. And, you know, it's a great question. And I think everyone kind of wants to know that when they're starting out. And I've never had a hard and fast answer because I did my own way. And it's such a path that is so unique to everyone. I mean, I sort of did some, I kind of went the path of journalism school, internships to a staff job to freelance, but it's not like I had that mapped out. It just, you kind of take the opportunities as they come, or you make the opportunities. And I really just try not to say no to anything.
No, I mean, I think having an open mind and having an open, path in terms of accepting assignments, in terms of doing different work. I mean, I think it's so important for photographers everywhere to always immerse themselves in so many different subjects and never stop, as my hashtag is out there in life, just creating, you know? I mean, documentary work is so special though, and you've done some great work. So, one of the things I want to point out real quick is that I had it right here, excuse me for a second, well, let's ask you, what were you working on? The most, which will lead me into the facts about some of the things, is what were you working on before COVID-19 hit, and where are you now? And start with that.
All right. I've initially, just having moved less than a year ago, really just rebuilding my career here and just getting more clients here and still working with my bigger clients nationally. I also, I continue to do healthcare work. So I've done a lot of work with Care Harbor, which is treating the invisible patients. And healthcare work, again, it's something that I sort of stumbled into as a photojournalist. And I've worked with this organization for about 8 or 9 years. I'd say about 9 years. And I've photographed, 10 or so clinics. They do at least one mega clinic a year.
Okay.
It's a 3 or 4 day clinic. In that time, anybody who has a wristband can come in. You get the wristband like the week before. You come in and you can get free healthcare.
Wow.
For medical, which includes women's health, mammograms, gynecological visits. There's obviously all manner of just general medical care. And then dental, as you see in this photo, and vision, those are the hugest or the biggest, the most populated parts of the clinic. Because a lot of people that come to this clinic have no health care. They have no health insurance. Other people who come have health insurance, but they may have really high deductibles that they're never going to meet. So they're still paying out of pocket. They may have it, but they don't have dental or vision. So they don't have dental or vision coverage. So this is a huge gap, I think, in the American healthcare industry. I mean, there are, I think after the Affordable Care Act came out, I was talking with the CEO of the organization, and, he was like, I would hope that this would make the clinic obsolete, but I don't think it will. And it hasn't. And not that we thought it would, but I think there's still just tens of thousands of people in Los Angeles alone, or more than that, who are so woefully undertreated.
Right. No, I applaud you, and I thank you so much. We all thank you so much for the powerful work that you do on this topic, on this subject, to get it out there. And it's really one of the things that always boggles my mind and boggles everybody's mind. And it's just leaves such a bad taste in your mouth that so many people are without health care and dental care and everything else. And especially, for instance, I was going through some of the photos, but I stopped on this one because it stopped me dead in my tracks when I saw all these teeth on the little markers or whatever. Tell us about this.
So one of the awesome things, and I should say that Care Harbor it is completely volunteer run and everything is donated, right? I mean, there's some funding and stuff that has to be done, but all the doctors, all the medical providers from students to doctors, are donating their time, and so in this particular photo, you have all the, extra teeth to make partials.
Mhm.
So a lot of people who come into Care Harbor, especially for dental work, are missing teeth. And that's a huge psychological barrier for a lot of people to get over. It's a big barrier for good employment, steady employment. There's a whole host of issues for missing teeth. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but think about what you think of somebody without teeth.
Right.
We kind of judge them negatively. It's awesome. People can come in and they will have, like this woman here had just had her two front teeth put in, like replaced, and it's like, you can actually, like, it really makes a difference in the quality of somebody's life to
Yeah,
have a couple of teeth.
it sure does.
And
You
it
know,
seems like nothing, and it's not a sexy story, but it's like, for me, it's really important
uh,
because this woman was, it's amazing. Like,
it looking at this photo just makes me tear up. It really does, because you see how happy she is, and so just thrilled that she's probably going to get some new teeth or whatever it was
she
that would.
just got them. They had been placed, they were done. She was
Oh,
done. The
I
dentist.
mean, what a feeling. I mean, and I bring up this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King: of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. And I found this quote and I said, you know what? I remembered it. And I said, I've got to put this up here when we're showing your work, because there is
Yeah.
no more powerful quote than this to put with this subject.
Yeah, I mean, I so agree. It's, it is. Ugh, I mean, I probably cry every day when I'm at the clinic, when I'm shooting or later on, because you're talking with people and you're hearing stories of, you know, one woman, her boyfriend had knocked her teeth out, and
God.
it's like she has, she's barely making ends meet,
Yeah,
and she was being shunned by
right.
family and friends, and
Right.
just to see, like, it's just, and that's one story.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know it's just one. I mean, there's thousands,
yeah, and it's so it you know it's one of these things where it's just sort of a labor of love for me, because I also relate a lot, I guess, to a lot of the people I photograph. I mean, I may not have the same education or economic or religious backgrounds or whatever, however you want to define people, but I guess I always see the similarities more than the differences between myself and the people I'm photographing. So I always feel like I'm never far. If I'm photographing someone in a clinic like this, I guess I think it could be me. That
Right.
could be my family. That could be, and it is. I have friends. I have made friends with the people who come to this clinic, and I do. I now see people every year, so I've
Yeah.
got, and it just, it's it's. I think it's just something that is so important for our quality of life, and
Yeah.
I'll continue to shoot it and work on it until I can't.
That's great. And thank you so much for doing this, because it always makes me think about, photographers in general too, when they go out and document this. We're not immune to the deep hurt
Yeah,
that goes on. And when we go home afterwards, or we're going home to edit the work or go back to the paper, wherever it is, and
yeah,
you're going through the work, I mean, you relive this and you see these people, and it comes home with you, it stays with you. and
yeah,
and thankfully, with 100% of the photographers I know, they're always trying to do better and do more important work to make
yeah.
sure that we educate society at large about these topics. For instance, I mean, just looking at this, I mean, thinking of women who can't get mammograms and get things like that, and all the hurt,
Yeah. I mean, in this, and we have, and I don't think it's up, but women getting pelvic exams through just a thin sheet, and there's lots of things where it's like, I'm gonna say going to the gynecologist is not my favorite thing to do, and but I am grateful that I get to go in a room with a door and it locks and there's privacy and I don't hear other people, and whereas here those services are offered, but it's the best that can be done.
Yeah, I mean,
But
we're blessed in so many ways. I
yeah,
mean, with even and it's a stressful, really hard thing on so many freelancers to pay these huge costs associated with healthcare.
Yeah.
And we need to fix all of this in this country. We need to fix a lot of things. But the thing is that right now, this photo right here spoke. I've saw several photos you took from inside and outside, but there's something about this image when I saw it that spoke to me, because it's got this invisible feel to it. These like ghostly, the silhouette, the people in the background, the people in the foreground, and how it all merges together beautifully the way you did it. Tell us about this.
Well, so I mean, I'm so glad you see that in this picture. That was definitely sort of the intent, I think, and to kind of break it down, what you're seeing in the legs and the feet out of focus in the foreground, those are the people I'm shooting through a glass door. So they are about to walk into the clinic, like to go through registration, triage, treatment. It's a whole day when you're there. The people in focus in the background are further back in the line, right? So that's what you're seeing. And it's sort of this layer of people, and part of it, and I'll tell you too, I mean, a lot of this with the clinic and everything is, and I think of them as invisible patients, because everyone there, all the people in this photo, these are people you will pass when you're driving, when you're walking, if you're taking public transportation like we used to do, I mean, if you're out and about, these are the people who are working in your stores and restaurants and what have you. And so easy to overlook people, or just to think I'm sure they don't have any problems, or I'm sure everything's fine, or we just don't consider those things. But I think I just think it's important that we recognize all people. I'm kind of rambling, but I think
no, please ramble all you want. When photographers do this type of work, and it's so important for everybody to see it and know about it, and so really just it's over the top that you're on this show to share this, because it's one of the key things in our lives. I mean, I wake up every day and I thank God that my teeth are okay, that my health is okay, that I'm able to go to the doctor when I need to. I can't imagine. I've always pondered in my head, growing up in New York City as a kid, and having seen New York City back when it wasn't as she as it is now in many ways. I saw so much with the homeless and other things, and still to this day, it drives me insane, and it hurts me so bad when I see these people on the street.
Well, and
the shelters.
What's that?
And the shelters too.
Oh, the shelters are incubators, and I've been working on I was just starting to work on a project about homelessness in LA. I mean, and I actually have a few friends who live on Skid Row, and I've become friends with them over the years. Just in photographing, I would usually kind of go there after I would go to the clinic. When I used to fly out from Chicago every year and come to this. And I have a friend who lives on Skid Row. He lives in an SRO, a single room occupancy. So he's pretty lucky. But I've met plenty of his friends who are all, they live in front of his building or around the corner. And it's, I'm so concerned about James's health. This is my friend. I mean, I so worry about him and the people down there that I know, because it's tough.
I'm trying to load the Skid Row section right now. For some reason, it's timing out. So let me try one more time here real quick.
Sure. See if it works. I don't know.
It's okay. It's just the internet playing games with us.
No, I know.
It happens. Let me go to I think it's pulling up now. Yep. No, for some reason it's still not on Skid Row. Okay. So
that's all right.
No problem at all. I just wanted to try to get it up there. So let's see what some other people are saying here as they chime in here. Can you talk a bit more about, Daryl says, can you talk a bit more about getting paid for your media content? How does it work? What are the best practices and best destinations to list for no photogs out here, the voyeur crowd, if you will? That's a long question.
I'm going to let you take that.
Daryl, let's see if we can tell. I'm sorry to pass on that, but it's a very long question. I apologize. Julia Weeks, It could be me. Love that. That's true. Yes, it is a beautiful flick. Montaigne loves your photography.
Thank you.
Let's scroll down here and see what else we have. Rich Feller, who worked with me at AARP, says, great work, Steph. He's a professor at Colorado State University.
Oh, hey, my brother went to Colorado State. What?
Okay. What a contribution to your community. Your creativity continues. Thank you so much, and helps non-artists like me feel touched. Thank you so much. Rabinder says, lovely, Stefan, watching from New Delhi. Okay, yeah, we have a global crowd here. Okay. So moving on here, I'm hoping that the Skid Row thing loaded. Let's see here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it did. Okay, so let me pull up the photos here.
Yeah.
And let me go to a couple here. So here's one right here. So Sally, tell us about your Skid Row project.
Well, so the Skid Row project I'm working on is with a colleague of mine, Alex Pitt, and we are working on a project interviewing and photographing homeless people in LA. We're basically taking the model of 1 in 8 million that Todd Heisler did, which I used to use all the time when I was teaching at Northwestern. It was my favorite tool for teaching students how to make amazing stories in a small amount of space, or about one very specific part of a person's life. And so that's sort of what we're hoping to continue working on. It maybe will pick back up in a few weeks, but so that's something I'm we're really looking forward to doing. But I've been photographing on Skid Row here and there when I like I said, when I would come out from Chicago, and now that I'm here, I've been out there a little bit more. Although I haven't been out in almost 2 months maybe at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, so tell us, I mean, right now out there in LA with Skid Row and all the homeless and everything else, what do you know? I mean, what is going on right now?
I don't know exactly. I've been following some different organizations that work down there. I mean, people are still out donating, bringing, I know a lot of people are trying to get masks, gloves, things like that to people, just sharing information to let people know what's safe and what isn't safe. I know a lot of the shelters themselves have had a lot of cases because you can't social distance there. It's a little different, I think, if you're, depending on, if Skid Row, it's very dense, but there's, all over Los Angeles, there are large pockets of communities, of homeless communities, all along the river, all along the beaches, just in downtown. There's not really a neighborhood, I feel like, that hasn't been touched by it.
Right. Now I'm going through some of these photos full frame for our guests, for our viewers. Yeah. And I just want them to see some of them full frame here. Such great work and powerful work. So as we're going through some of these real quick, tell us, one of the things I know is that you've worked with the general population of homeless people out there by getting their getting the story out there and documenting this, but you've also worked with like groups within the homeless community that you've spent a lot of time around. Tell us about that.
Well, I've done some, and I'm trying to do more because, really, here's the thing. I don't feel comfortable just rolling up in Skid Row with my camera gear and just saying, hey, what's up? Let me photograph you. It feels a little exploitative. Really, I like to go into different communities that I'm not familiar with some sort of liaison or contact. Obviously, if I'm in other countries, yes. But I really feel like it's sort of for me, it's the right approach in Skid Row because I want to be respectful of everyone who is there. I really feel like I'm coming into their home, into their neighborhood, and I am the guest and I'm showing up. And there's a lot of people who, they're going to see a white woman, they're going to see a camera, they're not going to be thrilled. And I understand that. So it's it's so much, of an effort on my part to really earn that trust. And I just have to hang out and be down there. And I have to get to know people, and I have to allow them to sort of question me and challenge me. And I've had a lot of, I had one woman say, she was, according to her, she was born and raised on Skid Row, and she's lived in other places, but she always comes back to Skid Row. And she asked me what I thought about it. And I said, do you want an honest answer? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, I think it's depressing, and you shouldn't have to live like this, and nobody else should either, but this is your home and this is where you are. So, you know, that's how I feel. I was very blunt, and I was a bit more eloquent than that, I think, but um, it was the right answer because I really got her respect after that, because I think she was expecting me to sugarcoat it or say, "Oh, it's going to be fine," and I just basically said, "No, this is BS. You know, this is not okay
Right.
for you or anybody else down here." And it, you know, but I was worried. I was worried she was gonna, you know, I was worried that I had really offended her, or kind of ruined my chances of coming back.
Yeah, it's a very difficult line to walk,
Yeah,
and to immerse yourself in, respect the subjects at hand, these people who are dealing with this day in and day out,
yeah,
and to not be intrusive, of course, in their lives, because
yeah.
we forget, but this is their community. Yeah, they live
Right.
on the street, but what choice do they have in a lot of ways?
Well, it's true, and it is their community, and I'm very aware that I get to go home, or I leave. You know, like I would either go back to the hotel where I was staying, or now I go back to my house, and you know that I am keenly aware of that difference. You know, but again, and it kind of comes down to the healthcare thing. I see, you know, there's a million reasons why someone is going to become homeless, and you know, again, it's sort of like that could be me. Maybe not, probably not, but it could. Like, I feel like we all need to kind of be aware of that sort of stuff. So,
Right. No, absolutely. And I thinking of sorry, the internet is playing games here. I'm trying to make sure that everything's loaded at the same time. And it's playing a few games here. Okay, there we go. So let me go here and
mm,
let me it's taking a while, but let's
okay,
scroll down here
yeah,
to a few of these the way they are, just like this. Hopefully, I'll be able to blow them up a bit. But tell us right now. I mean, thinking about the homeless, thinking about this
yeah.
project you've worked on, and now with COVID-19, I
Mhm,
mean, what's going on with this? What they're dealing with on top of being homeless.
mhm.
But you've also started this incredible project about life in general with people dealing with COVID. Tell us about this project, your COVID portraits.
Yeah, so I started this, I think it was maybe the second week into lockdown, or, you know, shelter in place, whatever we call it, you know, when, I'm sorry, when, Governor Newsom, you know, said everyone's got to stay in. It's like, okay, great, we're stuck. So I'm out on the patio, and I figured I'm going to start photographing hummingbirds because they're all over the damn place. So let me photograph these little guys. And I looked up in the window, and my daughter was looking out the window, and just this reflection was lovely. And I thought, that's it. I need to photograph people through windows, because now it was just that visual barrier of, we all have to be separated. And, you know, what does that feel like? What does that look like? And you know, 50% of this doing this was for my own sanity, and to try to make sense of what's happening, and to have any sort of understanding, because it's you know, I think I tend to get anxious about stuff like this, and it was like, if I can make some sort of art and do something about this might help me.
Right.
And it's also been just, you know, incredibly lovely to connect with people. I mean, yeah, I mean, just being able to listen to people and talk with them, and
Mhm.
like the joy that I feel when I'm like, you know, seeing them through the window and we're talking, it's totally worth it. You know, I mean, it's like, okay, I'm still alive, I'm still here, and so is everybody else, you know, despite all the isolation.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm finally getting to show some of these photos and the work now that the internet stopped freezing here. And I love the way you use compose these photos with the use of the reflections in the windows, the mood lighting in their homes. Their faces reflect so much of what we're all dealing with. But once again, doing this type of project, I'm
Mhm.
sure the one thing that it does for you, let me bring you back in here. The one thing that it does for you is that, and me too, is it makes us reflect on, even though this COVID crisis is devastating,
Yeah.
after the work we just showed of what you did with the homeless and thinking
Right.
of him being on the street and
Right.
dealing with this. Not that it takes away anybody's
Right.
situation at hand, but it does make you think about how lucky we are in many ways. And my heart goes out to
Yeah.
anybody who's suffered or lost anybody from this crisis.
I mean, absolutely. Dan Sue, who is in the shot, kind of the lone guy with his dog,
Yeah.
he has had, I think he's had family and definitely friends who have had it. He
Mhm.
lives alone, and so I was, I reached out to him. I was, how are you doing? Can I come take your picture? He's a friend, and I just said, what's going on? I'm worried because you're all by yourself,
Right.
and he's great. He's doing okay, and he will be okay.
Mhm.
But he spoke a lot about his feelings and the anxiety he's feeling, and that's something that's hard to capture unless you're either talking about it or you can try to symbolically show it, visually.
It's an absolutely stunning photo, and
Thank you.
it's just perfect with the lights around him, the way the yellow lights are around him from
It was nice. Yeah.
and the palm tree that you framed him right in the middle of.
That was nice, right?
Yeah, that's what caught my eye. That's what caught
Thank
my
you. Well,
eye.
I chose to do everything kind of at sunset, dusk-ish, because
Yeah,
I wasn't going to bring lights, ask people to bring lights into their houses. I wasn't going to try to ask if I could come in and do it, So I just figured, and I mean, my God, the lighting in LA is just so lovely. And I love Chicago, but the lighting is just not the same.
no,
And it's like, it's so miraculous, the
no, it is.
lighting here.
The lighting is beautiful. And I love the way every photo is different, whether it's this family here. I love the way part of the family is on the left, the other two boys
Yeah.
that are too cool to be in the photo with their parents, probably. We know how that age. We know that age.
I told Finn and Loic to go over there, like they're,
Oh, okay.
because I needed that balance, but they were also happy to do it.
That's
Yeah,
fine. I'm sorry, Finn and Lloyd. I don't mean to say that you were being typical preteens or teens or whatever. My bad. I apologize. I don't want comments coming in from their parents.
No, 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 no. They're her parents. No, no, no. They're awesome.
Oh, I'm only playing. I'm only playing. So let's see if we have any more comments coming in here. So Laura Cavelli says, "Thank you for your work, Sally. It gives voice to issues that would otherwise go unheard of. And thanks to Stefan for hosting this interesting conversation. It is our pleasure. It is my pleasure. It is Sally's pleasure, I'm sure." Tim Sohn is watching from Pennsylvania. And let's see who else here. We have Daryl again here. Daryl says, "I'm always shocked that the vast majority of people on Skid Row or in the shelters are Black. Why is that?"
Whoa,
Whoa,
that's a great question, Daryl.
really deep question.
That's a whole other.
That's a whole nother issue. Yeah. And
We can talk about it.
we can talk about that. Yeah, this is going to be a deep issue to stay on for the show. I don't want to just sidestep it.
No, don't. It's a fantastic question, Daryl.
Yeah, no, it is. I don't want to sidestep it, but I also don't want. I want to give it the time it deserves.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. Perhaps we'll even chime in with Daryl offline about that.
Totally.
George says, Tim Rich Feller says, "Sally, so appreciate Rich Feller. Let me tell you, Rich Feller is, as I said, a professor at Colorado State University. He's one of the foremost career experts out there.
Awesome.
And he has helped so many people. And he says, Sally, so appreciate your sensitivity and voice."
Thank you.
A big advocate for many communities and a great guy. So let's get back to some of the work at hand here and some of the questions that I have prepared for you.
Can I say something about these portraits too? Because this is something that a very good friend of mine in Chicago, Jasmine Shaw, has been doing something similar. I think this is something people should be doing like all over the world, like show us, like do your, if you want to do this, you can go do it safely, really. Like I'm overly cautious, but I also have a husband and daughter. And so it's not just me that I have to look out for. And I obviously want the people I'm photographing to remain healthy and safe. But I totally, I really want people in Pennsylvania and in Delhi and in New York, everywhere, like do this project your own way because I
You know
feel
what? You may have just hit on something, Sally. You better lay claim
I
to
wasn't
it.
the first. I'm not
Oh,
the
no,
first.
I know you're not the.
And I'm not going to be the last, but I'm like, I would love this massive collective of like pandemic portraits or social isolation, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, I think, and part of the reason I'll say I'm doing this is because I think we have a real tendency once things get back to normal, whatever that is, to
Mhm.
kind of forget or minimize how bad things were. And so I've been reading, like I've been rereading some Studs Terkel, like
Mm,
Hard Times. I just started rereading the other day because it's
mhm.
like, or reading it for the first time, I'm sorry. Because I'm like, I need to know how people were dealing like after the depression and things like, after like, how was America
Right,
coping with stuff? Because we have to remember that.
right,
And I think when we forget it, we're like, oh, it'll be fine. What's the big deal? And
right.
then, so
No,
yeah.
I do that myself. I go back and I look up the work of Jacob Riis.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I look at Jacob Riis's work all the time to remind myself of what people have been through.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Museum of the City of New York here in New York.
Yeah.
Every time a photographer comes here now, it's the first place I take them
Yes.
to
Yes. Yeah.
because it's got so much history. But one of the things that you were saying about this project, wanting people, photographers around the world, to do this.
Mhm.
So it was one of the questions I actually had, and you just segued right into one of my questions about. Let's see here. It was going to be about. Oh yes. So what would you say? And see, I'm not joking. I was ready for you. What would you say to photographers? I study my people out there, man. What would you say to photographers to encourage them to be creative in this
Yeah.
time of COVID-19? And you just answered it because remember Humans of New York,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Brandon Statton.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, this could be the sort of COVID-19 project around the world that Brandon started.
And it really should be. So let's start that now. We're announcing it.
We're
Okay.
announcing it. Announcing it. Wait, I think I
Just
have.
start playing here. I'm putting my flag in the internet for this because I mean, we just need to get a place. We need to gather it because there's so much good work happening. And some of the like my photos are a bit more serious. I've seen
Right,
photos that are just so like uplifting and make me so happy when I see them.
right.
And it's just we all run the gamut. I mean, I think
I
we're
was
all
looking for an applause meter to applaud, but I'm not going to fool around with it because it's coming up with other things. But a lighthearted moment here on top of such a serious topic, because you know what? Ideas. Ann Kirshner, who has worked with CUNY and Columbia and many other big universities out there.
Mhm,
Ann Kirshner said during a conference at Princeton University
mhm,
just this week, and she was talking with Sri Srinivasan,
mhm.
who's my colleague,
Right, right.
who I work with a lot on many projects. We were
Mhm,
working on the Princeton University project this week, last week, getting their conference online to do things like this. But
mhm.
and Sri, we're talking about out of every crisis comes ideas
Yeah,
and creation of things like this.
yeah.
And this is going to be an important moment to think if a project like this got started around the world.
Right. I mean, it already has been. We just need to
Right.
corral it.
Right. Oh, I know a great
Start,
photographer.
send it to Stefan, send it to me. We'll figure it out.
Well, there was a great photographer in Memphis. Drawing a blank right
Yes,
now.
yes.
But he did this great project. I
Totally.
will. I apologize. I will mention him on the next show. I'm drawing a blank
Yes.
right
I
now.
know, I know, I know. And yes, his work is awesome and super sorry. I'm
Super
so
sorry.
sorry.
But anyway, so what are you, besides doing this COVID project, which is so
Yes.
powerful, what would you say to photographers out there who some of them, freelancers and otherwise, may be in a creative rut?
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's so hard, I mean, I've been looking at my old photo books,
Right.
going back to the stuff that I really liked. I have been reaching out to people, and I've been trying, my colleagues and my friends, and I've been just looking to see what they're doing and thinking, okay, that's awesome. Is
Yeah.
that something I would be interested in doing? Or, I mean, just, I don't know, put your mask on and get your camera and go for a walk. I mean,
Right.
really, it's that simple. Um, I can't, it's so weird. I mean, and I think there's I guess to me, I really think more about not just what the immediate hard news is, but what are some of the themes that are happening? What are the,
Mhm.
and I always think about how people are feeling. What are people feeling? What are people feeling? That's always my thing. So I think that's sort of, for me, that's sort of what gets me inspired or to start asking questions. And then I think, how can I visualize this? And then
Mhm.
I go.
No, no, that's thank you so much. So, who are some of the photographers that have inspired you over the years?
Oh, I mean, I always said if I could die and come back, I'd be Gary Winogrand. I love him so much. Like, I just love his work. He just had so much, like, the photo of the woman at the zoo with the two rhinos in the
Mhm.
background. I
Okay,
remember seeing that in high school and it cracked me up. And I was just like,
right.
there can be humor and weirdness. And he just has such, and I really just, I've watched so many videos with him, and I love his very sort of carefree um, approach. And I've always related to like his the most important. I don't know, being in the moment and making the pictures.
Mhm,
For
mhm.
me, that's the most fun.
Absolutely.
And my impression was the same with him because especially you die and you leave 10,000 rolls of undeveloped film. It's like that sort of says something. I mean, it's like but so in addition to him, I mean, I certainly grew up looking at National Geographic.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, so David Allen Harvey for
Right,
sure.
right.
Mary Ellen Mark, Diane
Very
Arbus, like I mean, all the old. Like I'm so old. I like I'm like super old. So I love so many new.
Oh, no, you're not.
No, but you know what I mean. Like I Bill Owens. I mean, I'm just thinking of all the like Sylvia Plathie
Right.
and Sebastio Salgado and
Oh, yeah.
you
Oh,
know
yeah. You
I've
know, let
always
me
said, like, if I could meet Adrian Brody, I'd be like, "Move over. I wanna meet your mom," you know? Like, I don't care
well,
about
let me reiterate for everybody while we're here. We should do this always at the beginning, middle, and end. And I failed to do it a little earlier on, but I've been showing your name constantly in your Twitter handles. But one of the other cardinal rules in social media is to reintroduce yourself at different segments of a live stream. I also like to shed insight on social media throughout this show because that's what I do.
Mhm.
And it's important because viewers come into a live stream at different points. So they don't know what they're listening to sometimes. I do
Right.
flicker it on here and there and stuff, and it will be better branding in the near future. But once again, my name is Stefan Kaplan, and I am a social media and visual strategist who has created the Spin It Social Hour, which is truly a labor of love born out of care and concern from my photo community to get their names and their work out there more so that when this COVID crisis hopefully alleviates and hopefully we have it under control and can do many things in life again the way we were used to within reason, they can get more work and you will know them better, companies, people, so they can get the work they deserve. Because look at the incredible work Sally does and deserves much work and much recognition. So, one of the photos when I was going through your Instagram for
Mm,
your videos that struck
mhm.
me was this right here. Let me see if I can pull it up and play it here.
Okay.
This really, really caught my eye. What an incredible moment you captured here behind this bus. I think is it a bus?
No, you know what? That's, there's a place in Los Angeles called The Reef, and it's like a big kind of a mid-rise building that has a lot of, open space that you can rent. So they've had the clinic in that for a while. So the people basically what
Oh,
you're seeing is just a big glass wall
okay.
that it can house furniture or but in this case it's a clinic and all those people are waiting to go through triage.
Wow. And it's even more powerful. I thought it looked to me like it was a bus shelter that you wait under
Uh,
or whatever. But
yeah,
regardless, it's the beauty of the way you caught the shadows and the reflections and everything, and
thank you.
because of the glass,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. So bravo on that one. And
Thank you.
so let's get back to some of the other questions at hand here. Well, one of the things I wanted to mention was
Mhm,
down here that I had prepared for you
mhm.
was, excuse me for a second. So tell us about, you were a finalist for the 2017, and correct my pronunciation if I get it wrong, Peter Lissagor?
I think so.
Okay,
License.
Lissa Gore Award in Photography for photographic investigation of abandoned and blighted housing in Washington, D.C., which was produced with the Medill,
Medill.
the Medill, excuse me, the Medill Justice Project. Tell us about that.
Well, okay, so that me and a team of students. So the Medill Justice Project is part of the Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern, and this is the investigative branch of the journalism school. And so I worked with Pat Nabong, who is an awesome, what's up, Pat? Photojournalist in Chicago, former student of mine, freelancer, kicking butt and taking names. And Wen-Yi Lee, who is I think she's in Taiwan right now. She is, and actually I think Wen-Yi has a partial byline in today's New York Times. So awesome, Wen-Yi. And then we also had a student from Georgetown, Kennedy, and I'm sorry, honey, I'm forgetting your last name because I'm a jerk. They all were awesome and worked well together. And I basically helped lead them. They did a visual investigation looking at all the properties that the District of Columbia owns, the blighted, abandoned properties, the slum, basically asking, is the District of Columbia a slumlord? And what started out as just just a spreadsheet of thousands of locations around the city, we turned it into a documentary project where we interviewed people. We really talked about their experiences living next door to abandoned properties and how their property, a lot of this was in some of the poorest parts of DC, and the most economically depressed. And I really have to give Pat and Wen-Yi and Kennedy so much credit because they worked so hard. I flew out to DC a few times because, with students and when it's a school project, I needed to be there if they were entering people's homes. And, so we did, we explored a couple of abandoned properties and, really got to know people in the neighborhoods and really make it a much more personal story as opposed to here's a list of all the places the district owns and isn't doing anything about.
Well, I pulled this up right here because the Justice Project, according to this article in 2019, rebranded itself into the new Investigative Reporting Lab, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, and it's always been investigative. I mean, there was some staff turnover, as you can see in the front, and I think they're at the beginning of the article, and I think there needed to be some revamping. So it's a great group.
Yeah, no, we want to give a big shout out to the school too.
Absolutely. The bill was awesome. There's just, I loved the students I worked with and all the other faculty and staff. It's great. But of course, Mizzou was number one. So.
Right. Well, here it is right here. I just wanted to pull it up so everybody can get a good look at their site and go to them and check them out. Because it's important to acknowledge the great work that many undergrad and graduate schools out there with different projects and everything else. So one of the other things was that you were featured in an exhibit about the book Eviction.
Yeah.
Matthew Desmond at the National Building Museum in DC, and the images are touring the U.S. as part of the traveling exhibit. Where is that at now?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And
given COVID-19, are they going to put it online possibly?
I don't know. I don't know. Such a good question. And it was in Anchorage, and I think Memphis now. I can't remember. It had been in Fresno, and then it went up to Anchorage, and then it's coming around. And so when Matthew, if y'all aren't familiar with the book Evicted, Matthew Desmond is a sociologist, and he was doing his doctorate. I think he was at University of Wisconsin-Madison, and he was working on just the disproportionately high rate of African-American women who were evicted in Milwaukee. Like he found these eviction rates disproportionately affecting other people. And sorry, I just saw what Julia wrote. Second shout out from Memphis. But so I actually ended up, it was lovely because I met Matthew when one of the writers at the New York Times, and I met up with him, and in Milwaukee, and we went around and photographed evictions. So he was still sort of studying them and reporting on them. And his work eventually became his book, Evicted, which won the Pulitzer. And he was at Harvard. I think he's at Princeton now teaching. And Matthew Desmond is awesome. The book is amazing. That was a tough shoot that day. I think it was like a day and a half of shooting. Because I have to walk up to somebody as they are getting kicked out of their house or their apartment and say, "Hi, I'm here from the New York Times. Can I take photos? I think this is important because, I obviously am a little bit more, I guess, eloquent, but, again, it was tough. It's a tough thing to see. And this
It is.
photos, the woman in the front, Ara Sparkman, she had no idea. That's her mother seated there. They didn't know where they were going to go. They didn't know where they were going to put their furniture. They've got like a refrigerator and everything, and they were having to scramble to figure out how to get someone to pay to load it in a truck and put it in storage, and where are they going to stay? And it's snowing, and it's winter, and it's Wisconsin, and it sucks. It sucks.
This photo right here really grabs me because I grew up with my grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
and my mother was a New York City police officer. She was one of the first New York City police officers in 1973 to patrol men, a real trailblazer in the women's movement.
Yeah.
And she worked her butt off. But when I see this, having grown up with my grandmother, it breaks my heart because one of the biggest things I always promised my grandmother in life was that no matter what happened to us in life, she would never be on the street and she would never be in a nursing home, and I did everything I could to take care of her.
Right.
Got older, and my mom too, and she passed away in her apartment, technically, until the very last day. And but seeing people like this who are evicted and put on the street with no chance of knowing, they don't know where they're going to go. It's just
right. And and I don't want to, and I want to say it's not like just to be fair or to explain. With evictions, there is a 2-week notice that's usually given. That doesn't. I'm not saying. Oh, they should have had. That's plenty of time, because no, for a lot of people, the amount of time you have to prepare may not matter if you don't have the income or the place to go. It's really, but that's the process, And they had packed some, but not much. And I think she had been through evictions before, and it's just like, I've done this. You do it. You bag it up, box it up, put it out there. And
I'm scrolling through some of these photos, and then of course there's the court.
This is just the court,
Oh my God, yeah. You just want to hold your breath when you see all those papers.
That was me. I was like, can I, what? I was like, that's a lot. It just makes you want to run away.
Now, are all those papers that are on the desk there of the judge?
That's just the housing courts. Okay. So, it's some of the paper, all of the hearings were behind other, in smaller court, side rooms.
The amount of paperwork, my God, and the bureaucracy.
That's what it is. It's it's like this shot.
This photo says it all.
It summed it up a lot, right? And I really couldn't photograph. The people didn't want to be identified and photograph so much, which was fine. So the only person I could photograph is the commissioner here. So, and this is a long conference table. So basically what I could do was crouch at the opposite end of the table and just wait for him to do something, and when he did that, it was just like, that's exactly how this feels, And
then there's the children that are involved that have to wait and be with their parents and everything while they're fighting these eviction notices and wondering what's going to be with their poor little lives, and everything. And just, the way you document this is just so powerful and so, important to do. And once again, I wanted to personally thank you for your great work.
Thank you.
And everything you do. It's just such a pleasure having you here to talk about all these important subjects. And, I don't want to always cover just, I want to cover everything with photographers out there. I'm lining up photographers from around the globe to talk about their work, whatever it is. And I want them each to dig into their topics. And the most important important things to them. I know those subjects that we highlighted are the most important. So there's so many other things to get to, but we're going on to this Spin It Social hour and 4 minutes, but we're going to continue here for a little while longer because I am not going to cut it off that way, but it's bound to happen with a lot of these topics. So let me ask you this as we move on here, that we've talked about all these things. There was a grant that you told me about that you wanted to highlight. And this is important because one of the things in talking about everything we do is I want to help photographers know about things out there and also not only get their work out there, but maybe grants and other things that it could apply for. Tell us about it, Sally.
So right before, I would say it was probably first week of February, I sent a project I had been working on to my editors in New York. And this project, which I can't say a ton about it because it hasn't been published, but I did a grant through the Center for Health Journalism at USC. And that's how I was able to do this project. Suffice it to say, I was working on a photo project about healthcare or the lack thereof for undocumented immigrants in San Bernardino County, which is east of LA. It's a massive, huge county. You have a huge immigrant and undocumented immigrant population there. And you've got a lot of people who have a lot of pre-existing health conditions and cannot get healthcare. This grant, this fellowship, I encourage every journalist, especially visual journalists, to apply. I think I was one of 2 visual journalists who did the 2019 fellowship. And it's, I put the pitch together. I did my research. I thought, let me see if they'll accept it. They did. Which was awesome. But then it's like, I really, the project was tough. It took months and months to earn trust, but it was so worth it to do it and to talk with people and photograph them. They, their faces, use their names. It was, and now the project is in limbo, waiting for it to be published, hopefully down the road so it gets the attention it deserves. But the deadline is May 26th. So you have plenty of time, if you haven't already, to research a project or think of something and pitch it. I worked with Bob Ortega at CNN Investigates and then Beth Flynn at New York Times. So those are
sure, I know Beth.
Yeah, you know Beth. So these are my 2 editors who I've been working with. Just fabulous editors, fabulous support, and just it's a really great opportunity. And I hope a lot of visual journalists will consider applying. And especially now with COVID, they're looking for work related to that and not related to that.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much for highlighting that for photographers out there. The Center for Health Journalism at USC Annenberg, how to apply for the 2020 National Fellowship. Shout out to them for that. You have till May 26th. So make a note of that. Check it out. By the way, my ex-professor, speaking of schools, Rosalind Bernstein is working. She was my literal guiding light and set me on the path for journalism. And I love you, Roz. I'll always love you for that. And just an incredible person in my life. So also Kathleen Kiley says amazing work. She's always following and being so supportive, and we appreciate that. Bobby Vinson says good info. She's a photographer out there too that I just connected with. And so let me stop sharing the screen here for a second, and let's go back to a couple of other things here. And let us scroll all the way down because we need to keep moving here. And can you just briefly, is there anything that's as one of the most memorable moments? I probably won't be able to pull up the photo right away, but out of your career, what's one that stands out to you? Remember what one moment that stands out to you? If not, that's fine.
It's so hard to pick one, but you know what? And it's not even about, there's one that you had in the earlier slideshow, I think, and I'll talk about that one for the photo read. It was a farmer. It was shot in clearly all I do is shoot in windows. I feel like that's what, it's not intentional. I'm like, oh God, I gotta stop. No, but you know, it was a story about young farmers and how prohibitively
Oh,
expensive it was if you are not already a farmer to become a farmer. So I
okay.
went out 2 hours west of Chicago, get to this farmhouse, and I remember looking in the reflection of the farmhouse window. You can see the silos in the barn, and I thought, oh, that's such a cool shot. The lighting's garbage, but maybe in the evening it'll be cool. I'll come take a look at it. And yeah, it's the very last shot of this series.
Okay. Well, let's
And
go through
I
these
will
real
say, I
quick.
mean, anything agricultural, I absolutely love photographing, and I don't get to do it nearly enough. I absolutely love photographing on farms and ranches and that type of stuff. But the last shot, end of the day, the farmers are tired, and you've got the adult farmer. You know, he's 26 at the time, I think.
Right.
And he's on the scooter with his farming partner's son,
Yeah.
you know, and it was just like you could see it, and you can tell he's a farmer, and it just like, and he's young, and
Yeah.
that was the whole thing, was like,
Yeah.
how do you say that? I was thrilled to get it, because to me, I was like, if I could only get one shot, this would maybe sum it up, you know. But
Well, yeah, because it really just brings to light that wonderful moment of being on the farm with his son and the work they do and enjoying these moments together, and the beautiful way you captured it through the window, the reflection. That's the way.
yeah,
That was the way to capture this photo.
I mean, my back was to them. I could have turned around and photographed it, but
No,
this somehow seemed more poignant. But,
no.
you know, I've had a couple of moments where I've been super low and feeling like I'm not any good, or I can't do this anymore. This is such a hard job. And then I've had a couple of times where I just, like, they're angels or whoever, like total strangers, people from the public will come up to me or will email me and say, I have been following your work, or you are a name in our household, or just, I mean, so random. And it's like that, it's like, okay, I must be doing something right, you know? And it's like, those are the things that because I think photography, it's subjective, it's very personal to all of us. And, you know, you know, so to have that, like, to hear that my work resonates with somebody else who's not in the photography world, like, that's huge to me. Because
That is always big. That is always one of the biggest compliments, because
yeah.
we know there are a lot of lovers of photography out there, but there
Mhm.
are also people who like photography, but they're not like, it's not their
It's
thing
not
all
their
the
thing.
time.
Right.
Right. But when they see a photo that grabs them, and
Yeah.
that grabs their attention, and speaks to their soul and
Yeah.
illuminates a subject matter, that's exactly what great photographers such as yourself do for people.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I
and
mean, that's what keeps me going,
and
you know, it really
we thank you profusely for that, for your hard work and for your dedication to the
is.
craft. And tell us, not that you're just in the US, you've traveled.
Right.
Here's Karachi, when you've been in Karachi.
I love Karachi. I have so many amazing friends. Dil, Pakistan. I love Pakistan. I was so lucky that I had a chance to teach there through the International Center for Journalism in Northwestern. I got to teach professional working journalists about visual journalism. I went back a year later on my own just to go and shoot, because I didn't get a lot of chance to do that when I was teaching. And when I went back on my own, there was Careem, which is basically the UAE version of Uber, and there's
Okay.
Uber was there, and I could just get everywhere. And Karachi, and my friends and the people are just, I cannot say enough nice things about Pakistan. And I encourage everyone to take a trip, because it's like going and just traveling anywhere, really. But you know, get out of your own comfort zone, go to other places that you think you're not supposed to go, and go, because they're, you know, it's just, oh, those men on the beach. I saw them. We were out on a field trip with my class. So I shot this the first time. All the students are on the beach, but I saw those men, and I literally ran to them. I ran up to them with my camera and just started taking photos, because they just looked amazing. They had just come out of the ocean. You know, everyone swims like in their pants or clothes there usually. There's no bathing suits. They had their, you know, they were putting their kurtas back on, and I was just like, they just looked awesome.
Mm.
And I think and there the guy was just like, "What is this white
Oh,
lady
no.
doing?" You know?
That look says it all right there. What is she doing?
But it
But you know
was
what?
great. And I have other photos where they're laughing and we were all joking, you know, but it was just I just made a beeline for them. I was like, "I don't
Oh,
care. I have to."
I get it. I get it. You know, I just love the way you captured some, you know, so many moments of life there. I mean, whether it's, you know, boys hustling over something, or
Right.
there's another one I saw here that I really love. I love, you know, photos like this from, you know, the night scenes in low
Just
light
street
photography.
vendors. Yeah. I mean, you
And
know.
I'm trying to find one other photo that really grabbed the, you know, these photos are the types of photos that speak to me because
Yeah.
they bring me to these wonderful, see, I when I go somewhere, I haven't been to Pakistan, I haven't been to India
Right.
yet either. I want to go.
Right.
They're on my bucket list of places to go to, but I love to explore. You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
never know when you're going to walk down a certain street somewhere and you're just going to
Right.
find that moment that
Right.
brings that everything to light, you know?
I mean, and this is just, I'm going to give a shout out to Shabazz Khan, who, my friend, who this is his neighborhood.
Mhm.
It's Defense District 2 or something. I'm forgetting the neighborhood exactly now, but yeah, I mean, that's my friend Shabazz, the last photo.
Oh, okay,
Um,
right there.
go back one more, right there. So
Okay, right there.
that's, you know, again, just these are the people who will help me. He's like a fixer, you know,
Right,
who will help
right,
me around. And because I
right,
don't speak Urdu, I mean, I can say please and thank you and hello and, you know, things like that. But it's a lot. I tried. It's hard.
right. No, no, it is,
um,
it is, it is.
but I rely so much on other people when I'm working. So, I mean, sometimes I'm alone, but I really have to rely on other people and share. And so, and doing that, I have to share of myself and be as
Right,
thankful and helpful as I can be because people are
right.
bending over backward for me.
Well, one of the things I want to quickly do before we get to the last couple of questions here, which are social media related, you know, like I said, it's
Mhm.
wonderful because we've known each other through our work in general, but
Mhm.
we really connected through social media, and that's one of the things I love about social so much. And now we're on track here by, you know, you coming on, and we're going to know each other so much better now in other
We'll
ways.
have a social drink later tonight. It'll be great.
Absolutely. We'll have a virtual drink. Absolutely.
Exactly.
But one of
Yeah.
the things I want to quickly do, because I think it's important, given
Mhm.
given the work that you do, is to also highlight for locally, so you'll get a lot of work really quickly too. When people want to flock to you after seeing your incredible work and all your skills, is I want to get to the section here quickly on some of the family stuff too, just to show
Yeah.
people, you know, the
Yeah, I
beautiful.
really this is something I've been trying to work on, and it's such a nice I'll tell you, it's a nice counterpoint for some of the documentary work I
Right,
do. These shoots, I am, like, smiling and laughing the whole time, and, I don't like, I love it. I mean, kids are awesome. I have a kid, I love kids, you know, like, they're human too, like, they're just you know, and, oh, this family here, the Chinese family, this is in Long Island. I met them at the clinic in Los Angeles. And when I lived in New York, they hired me to do their big family shoot in
see
Long Island.
that?
Like, you never
You see
know.
that?
It's
That's what I
crazy.
love. That's what I
Yeah,
love. I love it.
yeah.
I love it. And you know, you do beautiful family portraits. One of the moments I really like, by the way, this photo just grabbed me. Um,
Oh, thank you so much. I love
tell,
that
tell
shot.
us about this photo because it just really just made my day when I saw it. It's
This
just such a
is
beautiful moment.
this is a if you go about an hour and a half south of Chicago, there's a town called Rantoul, Illinois. And this
Right.
story, and I'm sorry, I'm really gonna get dates wrong, but I'm gonna say maybe in the several decades ago, there was a big push to have have children adopted, and a lot of interracial adoptions happened
Right.
there. And so this, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember the names because I shot
Okay.
this a while ago. This little boy, that's his grandmother. And I
Okay.
was walking around the neighborhood with this boy and his brother, who had been adopted by one of, you know, her children.
Right.
And she just happened to be driving through the neighborhood and stopped, and it was just awesome, you know, and it just said everything in that moment because it was like, yeah, it still kind of gets me when I see it because it's so sweet and it's just
It
You,
is.
it's,
It's an absolutely beautiful moment, and
Thanks.
there she is with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, there's the grandma
Yeah,
too, like,
it's
back
just
at home.
wonderful. What a beautiful moment, and you capture all of them. This is us during COVID right now. No, I'm
Yeah,
joking. This
and this was a story shot for the New York Times all about homeschooling. I was like,
well,
"It's so
well, guess
appropriate
what?
now."
This is right now, even though it was in the past.
Oh, yeah, and this is pre-Zoom, so this is what home but these are people who homeschool just all year round.
Right, this is everybody's life right now.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
everybody's tables right now.
right? I mean,
So,
yeah,
well, you do such beautiful work with all the families and everything. I wanted to quickly highlight some of that for you.
thanks, I
And,
appreciate that.
oh, no problem at all. And so, what I want to get to now is really, let's see, we have a couple of more comments here. We've had a bunch, but Julia Week says, "What kind of camera does Sally use?"
So I am still shooting with my 5D Mark II because I don't have a lot of money right now.
You broke up. You
But I
just a bit. Can
honestly,
you repeat that,
I
Sally?
love it. It is my favorite camera. What's that?
You
Canon.
broke up. You broke up for a
Oh,
second.
I'm so sorry. The Canon 5D Mark II is my favorite. I
Okay.
would love to get a newer one. I just haven't. And part of me, it's just my security blanket. I'm not having to transmit like immediately. And, I don't, and oh no, and mirrorless, I've thought about it. The heavier gear gets and the older I get and the more my back hurts, but still it's an investment I'm not interested in making right now. So
I have to tell you, that's one of the things that people forget is all the gear photographers
yeah,
carry.
I
And
mean,
we're in the
yeah,
age of smartphones now, so a lot of people who do photography just with their smartphones
mhm,
forget. But my back remembers those days, and
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have like a permanent just twinge behind my left shoulder blade. It's just going to forever be there. So
yeah. Well, no, it's really, even with all the belts they make and the special vests
and
and
the
everything,
harness,
it's a load of gear. It's a load of gear.
you're still carrying like pounds and pounds of equipment, on your body.
No, absolutely. So getting back, so let's tell everybody. So everybody, you can follow Sally Ryan at Sally Ryan Photos on Twitter. I'm sorry, Sally Ryan Photo
Photo. Hmm.
on Twitter. Sally Ryan. Now, is it the same on Instagram or is there an S?
Instagram and Facebook, it's all the same. Sally
Sally
Ryan.
Ryan Photo across the board, everybody. I want you to find her. I want you to get to know her even better from her website and everything. And one of the things I want to ask you as we come to a close here, Sally, is how
Hmm.
do you feel that social media has helped your career? And what do you think you could do more of and better with? And then I'm going to offer a couple of suggestions because that's one of the things that I like to do in terms of
Yeah.
social media doctoring.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's you can't not do it, because it's just how most people consume any media of any type. you
Right.
know um so you have to do, I mean, I'm 43, so I'm probably was like, I mean, I've been doing it for years, but I was also like, at first. And I've obviously seen the error of my ways in that. Twitter is my least favorite just because
Mhm.
I mean, I know it's like the biggest one, but I don't know. Like, I don't like the tweet. I don't want to I get sucked in.
Right.
And so I think it's so crucial for my job and I need to do more. And I don't know how people get like 50 million followers. I do whatever, but, I would
Not
like,
about, it's about the quality.
okay.
It's about the quality of people that follow you. It's about the
Well, there's
quality of
that.
people that
I
follow
know,
you.
but I feel like, I don't have like tens of thousands of followers, and I feel like that probably hurts me because people say, "Oh, she doesn't have a lot of followers, so why do we care?" That kind of
No,
sucks, But I don't know. I'm guessing, and I don't know, but I think, but I use social media like we all do. So any
no,
tips
and
are help.
I love your Instagram feed. I love your. One of the things that I'd like you to do more of, I'd like to see more of as you try to create new stuff, is try to use Instagram stories a little more,
Yeah,
because
I
one of
will.
the things I find. One of the things I find with Instagram stories, and I know, is that you get a lot of views and people love
Mhm.
the creativity from a personal end that they see with them,
That's
you
true.
know?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I will do that. I think I've been doing it a
And
little more, but I will for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see that from you. And the other thing is that I'd love to see you do more storytelling, written and visually, even once a week on LinkedIn, because
Okay.
LinkedIn is so, especially for somebody like
Yeah.
you who does
Yeah.
such great work.
I've totally been I'll admit it 1,000%. I've totally neglected LinkedIn. And, it's like I have the time now, and then I'm like, and yet somehow the days fly by.
Right.
And if anybody wants to do babysitting, feel free so I can get some work done. Because I'm not getting jack shit. No, I'm just kidding. It's just tough. But yes, so I
You know,
agree. I agree.
LinkedIn, you might be able to get, after they see your work and learn more about you, I'll be streaming this broadcast to LinkedIn soon, as soon as I get permission. They have
Awesome.
an application you have to go through, but
Yeah.
I hopefully will get approval, which I think I will. And then there's a lot of corporations and professionals on there that may want you. And you know what? There's the work, there's the work.
Cool. Yeah, totally. No, I appreciate it. I will always take any advice.
Yeah, no, I think that would be really important to do. So I think we have some more comments here. Let's quickly see what we have here. We have Peter De Silva, 43, youngin, LOL.
Thank you.
Peter is a fantastic photographer, and I already let it out of the bag the other day that he's going to be on one day.
Yeah.
Fantastic photographer.
Yes, yes.
And Steve Taylor says, recently I've been getting much more engagement from my Instagram stories than from my feed posts. So
All
there
right.
you go. You might want to explore that. Steve Taylor is a wonderful, wonderful all-around social media expert and food photographer with his smartphone
Cool.
and other things too. He uses GoPro cameras.
Yeah.
He does great food photography, man. He's
Awesome.
in Philadelphia, so find him, Steve.
Okay, I'm gonna look you up, and then but then I'm gonna be starving, and then I can't have that awesome food. No, I'm gonna totally look you up. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that.
No problem. So one of the things I want to do now quickly as we come to a close here into the Spin It Social hour and a half,
I know.
as I said, is I want to highlight a photo real quick that a friend of mine took. It's my photo of the week that I'm doing every show at the end of the show that really spoke to me. And I'm going to tone things down here because it's really a photo that just captured me and broke my heart when I saw it. And I want to say that to everybody, we're fighting this pandemic. We're going to do it together. But the key word is we have to do it together. And we have to flatten the curve, continue to do that, stay indoors, listen to the experts, and not all the craziness out there. We want to listen to the experts and we want to help. Why? Because this photo really grabbed me by Arlene Schulman. And I'm going to take the banner off real quick here so we can see it. I'm sorry that I have the banner up here. Let me grab it and find the banner that's up. And let me get here. Sorry about this. Let me go to the comments and let me get rid of Steve's and let me get rid of my banner. Too many banners here. But this is a photo that my friend Arlene Schulman took. Arlene, Arlene Schulman, okay? Find her on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. She lives uptown, and she took this photo in New York City. And as you can see, one of the signs reads, "Why is it so hard for you to stay home?" And then on the other side, it says, "COVID-19 killed my mom last Sunday. Please stay home." I mean, people, if you don't get it by now, and I'm not pointing fingers, get it, stay home, listen to the experts. We need to fight this together. We can't go galloping around and doing everything we want to do right now. This poor young girl or boy or whoever it was lost their mom, and this photo just grabbed me. I mean, what do you have to say about it, Sally?
I mean, I think it's so important because we haven't seen a ton of photos in the hospitals and of people dying, and we're starting to see more. But I think it's important, and I think it's hard for people to fully grasp a situation that they can't see or touch.
Right.
I mean, that they're not interacting with. And for people who in places that haven't been hard hit or they don't know anyone who's been ill, I think it's human nature that we just can't comprehend a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I think photography is so important. And that, like Arlene's photo, or Nick Ut's photo from the Vietnam War, or anything, um, uh, and why, lots of other, why am I spacing on the photographer, Dan, who did the vulture photo? With the
Oh my God.
I've talked about him so much. It's a brain fart. Forgive me. Those types of images that you never forget. You have to say it. And that photo, I mean, someone is pleading with
Yeah.
strangers and pleading with people, and that, I mean, that's hard to see.
It
And,
is.
but we have to see it, because how else are we going to have empathy?
Nope.
How else are we going to care at all?
When I saw that photo, I said, I have to illustrate that.
Yes.
To show them this photo, because it just speaks. It's everything right now. It's everything right now.
It is. And because because it's through the glass, like, that's something else that says, like, they're not outside holding a sign, marching around people.
No, they put this up for everybody to see and to learn from.
And the fact that it's behind glass, again, we're still distancing, and it's
it even looks to me that there may be some plastic covering the windows. Either, I don't know if it's
I can't tell.
I don't know if it's due to some chilly weather, or the fact that maybe they're worried about COVID and they're covering their windows with plastic too.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's so many things going on. But Sally, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been wonderful having you. I hope everybody learned a lot about you and your work, and also the topics that you've covered. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, this was lovely. Thank you for taking the time to share my photography and my work.
Absolutely.
I hope you were healthy and safe.
No. Next week, I'm going to bring on a wonderful photographer named Catherine Taylor from Massachusetts.
Awesome.
Who's done much work out there, and she's got a COVID-related project that she's working on. But please find Sally Ryan Photo. Get to know her better, follow her work, spread the word, share this broadcast, please, so everybody can know more about Sally and the great photographers that will be coming on. And Sally, I wish you luck, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Okay, take care now. Bye-bye. So everybody, we're going to come to a close here, but before we do, I wanted to make a couple of small announcements and tell you about a couple of things. There's a wonderful new project underway right here, which I'm going to put fully on the screen because it deserves it. It is the News Project Live, which is premiering tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the legendary Merrill Brown, who helped found MSNBC, or actually did found MSNBC.com, and his head of audience, Alex Leo. And it is going to be a weekly conversation with media industry experts and innovators about the future of news, brought to you by the News Project. Episode 1 tonight with Emily Ramshaw, co-founder and CEO of the 19th. So tonight at 7 p.m., please. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, the News Project Live is the hashtag. Find them, follow them. A really important conversation about the industry. Lord knows journalism and the media industry needs our support. We're under siege in many ways by many, many different things, outlets out there. All this stuff going on. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but facts matter, folks. Follow Merrill Brown, follow Alex Leo, follow the News Project Live. And another thing I wanted to announce was this Mother's Day, the NYT Read Along, led by my colleague and all around just incredible friend. I love you, Sri. It's the NYT Read Along with Sri and Neil Parekh and his crew. The NYT Read Along on Sundays at 8:30 a.m. Find it, hashtag NYT Read Along, and also Sri's COVID-19 call. He has a Mother's Day edition this Sunday, May 10th, and he will be having his mom on. And Neil also here has his mom. And they are going to be thanking their moms, and moms everywhere. And you too can thank your mom or give another mom a thanks. Somebody who's been important in your life. And you can go to digimentors.link/mothers. And basically, if you sponsor a partial sponsorship, on the show here. You can do $100. They'll read your message on air and show a picture. A $75 sponsorship will get you a mention on the air and a picture included in the collage. And $50 will get you a scroll, a thank you across the screen to thank your mom and thank others. But by the way, the most important thing, folks, not to be left out, is that 50% of the proceeds will go to Nick Kristof's Pulitzer Prize winning and one of the most incredible journalists out there, Nick Kristof, his C19 Impact Initiative, and 50% of the proceeds will go to that. And you can thank moms around everywhere about that. So please, once again, the NYT read along at digimentors.link/mothers. Check it out. Donate something. It goes to Nick's initiative of the COVID-19 Impact Initiative. And that is just phenomenal. So all those things to keep track of. So I am going to go off here. I'm going to actually go back to the live shot here. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to say thank you very much for being here with me. Once again, my name is Stefan Kaplan. My brand is Spin It Social. This is the Spin It Social Hour. And I love bringing these photographers on around the world each week to educate everybody about them, to let you know about them and everything else in the photography world and the social media world. I am a social media and visual strategist working with Sri Srinivasan and his group of DigiMentors, but I also do a lot of work out there, and I'm always looking for more work along with everybody else. So I just wanted to say that, but this is the most important thing. This Spin It Social Hour is about the photographers and is my labor of love born out of care and concern for them during this COVID-19 pandemic. So I thank you very much for all your time. I will see everybody next week with Catherine Taylor. Be well. I'm going to put this on here so everybody knows at the end of the broadcast what it was. And we've gone a half hour over again. But you know what? It's worth it for my photography community, and I hope you think so as well. So share it. Have a great week, everybody, and take care. Okay? Bye-bye.